Summer may be on the horizon, but small-scale residential developers and those flogging investments in their projects are entering a winter of discontent. So says Maria Slade in this week's Shoe Shine. But first, Maria, a little Max Key anecdote to start us off. That's always going to get the punters going, isn't it? What's how come he's caught your attention?
Well, in my travels around the central Auckland Isthmus, it has come to my attention that the people of St Michael's Avenue in Point Chevalier are not happy with Max Key. He bought a large section there a couple of years ago and demolished the little old house and moved 2 shells of old houses onto the site. It's actually a cross lease.
Okay.
But there they have sat ever since for nearly 2 years with no progress whatsoever. And, the neighbours are getting disgruntled about it. But it's interesting to think, well, why? Why has he not developed? That's a very expensive suburb. Surely you can do well in a place like that. And it got me thinking, looking at sort of the wider sort of scheme of things for property developers at the moment, and it's actually not good. They are facing some pretty serious headwinds. Now, Max Key, he'll probably do okay.
He's fine.
Yeah. As far as I can see, he's got no debt on the property. Point Chev will always come back. He'll be fine. He just needs to sit there and wait. He may be struggling to find finance for the actual development. Looks like he wants to do 2 quite luxury properties, and that's expensive. And banks are very unwilling to lend at the moment. But all he really needs to do is sit tight. There are others for whom there will be much greater challenges.
So what are some of these other ones that are going on then?
The banks just don't want to know unless you're an existing customer, and if you are developing little sort of low-end sort of townhouse developments and Upper Hutt kind of thing, no offence to Upper Hutt, they're just not interested. Zero interest in those kinds of developments at the moment. So unless you've got quite a bit of equity, you will struggle to get developments off the ground at the moment. So, and obviously funding is very expensive as well. So if you're going to mezzanine lenders or fringe lenders, you will be paying heinously high rates. And we've started to see that with some of the other more fringe developers. Black Robin is one that I write about. Now, they're an investment company and developer, part of a new breed of companies we've seen that have caught the attention of the regulators, in fact, for their advertising of wholesale investments. Black Robin's just had 2 properties be advertised for mortgagee sale. Mm-hmm. They are claiming that they're, trying to do a deal behind the scenes, but certainly the real estate companies are advertising these sales, and as one pointed out to me, we don't generally advertise the sales of properties we don't legally have the right to sell. So there's clearly some problems going on there. But they are facing a very different environment than they were, a couple of years ago.
So is there any other evidence that developers have just completely fallen off a cliff, or is it still sort of, there's still a little bit of consenting activity going on with the like of it?
Well, that's the thing. The figures haven't actually caught up, really, with the headwinds that they're currently facing. The building consents are still way up, over 50,000 in the last 12 months, according to the latest Stats NZ release. But, as various commentators have pointed out to me, just because it's consented doesn't mean it's going to get built on.
Sure.
And you might see quite a lot of those sites doing nothing for a while. If developers have potentially paid too much for the land, they can't get the finance, they can't get the pre-sales, which is the thing. That lenders just generally do not want to know unless you've got a very high level of pre-sales, 100% pre-sales even now. And of course, buyers don't want to buy off the plans at the moment because property prices are continuing to fall. So they don't want to be in the situation of having bought something that they've paid too much for. And that's another problem with existing developments getting finished. Some people have had pre-approval. That might have lapsed. It only lasts 3 months. You do need to renew it. And then they might come to find that the property they've put a deposit down on is worth less than they originally got finance for, and the bank's like, nah. So they're having to refinance. So that's another challenge for developers at the moment. Things are definitely going to start slowing down. The construction pipeline's pretty good at the moment, but once that has worked its way through, I'm hearing, things are going to slow down from sort of early next year.
What about mortgagee sales? Has there been a massive uptick in that just yet? Or?
Not just yet. 21 in the last quarter compared with 20 the quarter prior to that, according to CoreLogic. So still pretty low, but again, I'm being told expect an uptick. it'll just take a while for the numbers to start coming through. But in the meantime, the debate is, have we built too many houses? All these sort of intensification projects, all these terraced houses that we've seen in places like, the Papakura area, like Upper Hutt in Wellington, like the North Shore in Auckland. As everyone knows, you turn around every sort of suburban corner and there's one at the moment. Some people believe we have overbuilt, given particularly New Zealand's low population growth.
Yep.
Others say, well, look, if everything that was consented got built, we might have a problem, but, that's unlikely. So, but in the meantime, there's certainly downward price pressure on those sorts of houses and, on house prices generally, as we know.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, eh?
It is, yep.
Maria, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.